Hello, hello, and welcome. Welcome to this masterclass on the power of rituals to enhance happiness, performance, and personal growth. I'm super excited to be with you today as we explore how to integrate rituals into our daily lives and how that can lead to profound transformations. I am Dr. Deas Wandrea, and I will be guiding you through this journey. So let's dive in. You may be asking, why is an integrative doctor talking to me about rituals? And what makes these repeated actions so powerful? Well, rituals are much more than simple routines. They are intentional actions that are infused with meaning. And when you perform them consciously, they can help us focus. We can ground ourselves. And rituals can also help to reduce anxiety, enhance performance, and give us a sense of control and predictability. And I found that that's really important in my life and for many of my clients. Rituals can also connect us to something greater than ourselves, and that can lead to a deeper sense of spirituality and well-being. So I'm curious, are you into rituals? What are your daily rituals, or weekly or monthly or yearly? Feel free to type it in to the chat. So I thought it'd be smart to kick things off with a definition of what I mean when I talk about rituals. Rituals are not necessarily religious. They are just repeated actions that have meaning attached to them. And so when we perform them consciously, rituals can help us navigate life with greater ease and intentionality. They can also be super simple, right? It could be as simple as your morning cup of tea with mindful presence, or it can be as elaborate as a ceremonial gathering with your loved ones. The key is really the meaning and the intention behind the actions. So I thought I'd share some examples from my own life. Every morning, I start my day with a ritual that includes meditation. No surprise there, right? Chanting, prayer, and journaling. And this has been my daily practice for several years. And it really helps me to achieve a state of peace of mind, peace of body, before I dive into my day. And I find that these rituals really allow me to focus. It focuses on my spiritual energy and helps me set goals that are in alignment with my soul. Another powerful ritual that I practice involves goal setting. I'm still ambitious, but I weave in little elements from the law of attraction. I use affirmations, journaling, and something called diamond life design that includes a vision board and action steps. I also use the 3-6-9 method, where I write affirmations with the feeling that my goals are already achieved. You may have seen my video about the 3-6-9 method. Check it out. All of these practices have been really effective in helping me to just be more effective in manifesting my desires, as well as really channeling my ADD brain so that I don't get sidetracked. Another ritual that was really helpful to me when my mom transitioned was a grief ritual. It allowed me to release the sadness and actually transform that energy into forgiveness, gratitude, and what I feel is a really deep connection with my ancestors and that lineage. And that particular grief ritual involved imagined conversations with my mom, saying things that I didn't get to say when she was alive, lighting candles in her honor, playing music in her honor, and meditating to connect with her spirit. I also sat in ceremony with sacred mushrooms and went through an ayahuasca journey that really was a big part of ending that chapter of life. And so over time, I find that these practices, they bring healing. And for me, it really allowed me to feel my mother's presence in a new, powerful way. So I just want to remind you that rituals, they're not just elaborate or spiritual ceremonies like you see in movies. They can be as simple as your morning coffee, or as comforting as monthly pedicures, which is what I've been doing with my daughter. She's in her last year of school before she goes off and has her own life, and that little ritual of mother-daughter bonding has been nice. So these are some of the intentional actions that when we weave them into our everyday lives, they can help us focus, reflect, and connect on a deeper level. So think about your daily routines. Are any of your daily activities things that could be routines or rituals? For example, let's go through some everyday actions that could become powerful rituals with just a little intention added in. Morning yoga or stretching to awaken your body and mind. Journaling, maybe you already do this to capture your thoughts and plans. Even social gatherings, like that weekly meetup with friends to reconnect over coffee or a wonderful meal. Walking or cycling to clear your mind, keep your body fit. Cooking. You could turn meal preparation into a time for creativity or relaxation or connection if you're cooking with someone. So I have on my website a link, and I think I'll pop it here so that you can access it. You can get my ritual framework and a daily intention worksheet on my website, wondrea.com. When you click, give us your email, and I will send you the replay and these worksheets. But really, creating a ritual is super simple. And there's really just 5 things that I always incorporate. The first one, I've already talked about it, it's intention. Your intention is the purpose behind the ritual. So even your morning coffee, maybe the purpose is to awaken, to prepare for the challenges. By having that mindfulness, it gives it more meaning. The next thing that we need in a ritual is repetition. If we have consistent actions that can start to form these comforting routines, like your afternoon tea at the same time each day, that repetitive action with mindfulness attached can definitely become a ritual. The other element that's important is focus and mindfulness. You have to be present during the ritual if you want to enhance its impact, like savoring the taste of the coffee or the warmth or the cozy feeling. The fourth thing is symbolism. If you look at personal or cultural meanings that get attached to certain ritual elements, like it could be just the act of brewing the tea, or associating that with a pause in your hectic day or a sense of self-care. And the fifth thing that makes things a ritual is that it should be structured actions. There are generally specific steps that are performed in a set manner. It could be, again, that detailed process of making the coffee or making the meal or laying out your clothes and your routine to get ready for your run. So these are some of the elements that are important for you to start transforming everyday routines into rituals and then attaching meaning. It wouldn't be a masterclass with Deas Wondrea if I didn't weave in a little science. So I want to explore some of the fascinating research that explains why rituals work and how they can benefit us. So according to a study by Francesca Gino and Michael Norton, rituals can help reduce anxiety and improve performance. Their research was published in Scientific American, and it included several experiments that highlighted the benefits of rituals. I'll take you through a few of them. One was all about grief. So in the study, people who engaged in rituals after experiencing a significant loss, they reported less grief and a greater sense of control compared to the people who did not engage in rituals. And so this really suggests that rituals can help manage our emotional distress by providing a structured way to process grief. If you've ever gone through grief, sometimes it feels super chaotic, and it's nice if you can bring a sense of order or control. Yeah? Does that make sense? Okay. The next one is about performance enhancement. So people who performed a pre-task ritual before engaging in some high-pressure task, like singing in front of an audience, they performed better and experienced lower levels of anxiety compared to people who did not perform a ritual. And this one really indicates that rituals can reduce performance-related stress and anxiety, and it can enhance our focus. So this is also, super popular for athletes, people who feel like they definitely have to be at their best. These kind of performance enhancement rituals are really important. Here's another one. Maybe you already do this. They did an experiment where participants who performed a ritual before eating a piece of chocolate reported greater enjoyment and savoring of the experience compared to those who did not perform a ritual. And this really shows that rituals can enhance sensory experiences and overall satisfaction. Totally transforms it, right? And the last thing that Norton and Gino did was something around task precision. So participants who performed a ritual before they had to do a task that required dexterity, they actually performed better and they had greater concentration compared to people who did not perform a ritual. So this also demonstrates that rituals can improve our performance on tasks that require fine motor skills and focus. And so you maybe have heard of athletes who have a certain ritual they do, whether it's the way they tie their shoes or the way they dribble the ball or their practicing routine. They develop this ritual and it really helps them focus. So the key takeaway from these experiments is that rituals can reduce anxiety, enhance performance, improve enjoyment, and provide emotional comfort. So by incorporating rituals into daily life, we can leverage these benefits to improve our well-being and our overall satisfaction with a variety of activities. So is there anyone out there who want to type in to the chat, what are the rituals that you regularly engage in? I'd love to read. I don't know. We are currently streaming live on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. I see already some comments from YouTube. Hello, Ave. Great to have you with us today. Good morning. So I want to move on to another study. It was a study called Approaching Awe, a moral, spiritual, and aesthetic emotion. This was by Dr. Keltner and Jonathan Haidt, and they examined awe for its profound impact on our emotions and our behaviors. So awe is described as an emotion that makes us feel a sense of vastness and this need to adjust our mental frameworks to really understand the experience. So the key findings from their research included triggers of awe. They found that awe can be triggered by a variety of stimuli, such as natural wonders, artistic masterpieces, significant moral acts, and profound spiritual experiences. Now, for all of my psychonauts out there, if you've experienced altered states of consciousness, you know that that can trigger awe. For all of my fellow artists and musicians out there and art lovers, you know how that feeling is when you hear an amazing piece of music or you're looking at a sculpture or a painting, and that can trigger this sense of awe, right? They also found psychological effects. They found that when people experienced awe, it led to a diminished focus on the self and increased feelings of connectedness to others and a greater willingness to engage in pro-social behavior. So the experience of awe can actually expand our perception of time and increase our openness to new experiences and ideas. And so it's actually a key in developing resilience, which we'll talk about in another masterclass. They also found that awe inspires moral elevation, which just means that it encouraged people to copy the virtuous behavior that they saw in others or to adhere to moral norms. It's as if seeing something bigger than yourself makes you want to be a better person. And it's deeply integrated, of course, into many religious and spiritual practices. fostering this sense of connection to something greater than oneself. There's also the cognitive and behavioral impact. Awe has been shown to enhance creativity, it promotes critical thinking, and encourages exploration and learning. They also found that it increased tolerance for uncertainty and ambiguity. So you'll hear more about the experience of art and awe and aesthetics from me as I'm going to be weaving in research on neuroaesthetics. Maybe you've already heard of this field. It's a branch of neuroscience that studies the impact of appreciating art or creativity, beauty, and how it impacts the brain and our well-being. I'm finding neuroaesthetics incredibly inspiring, especially with my new company, Soul Sense Alchemy. My husband and I are launching this well-being and spiritual company that includes perfumes that are crafted here in the perfume capital of the world, Grasse, France. And I'm really inspired because I'm finally bringing all of me into this. All right, so back to the study by Keltner and Haidt on awe. Here are a few experiments that they did in their study. They had participants and they exposed them to natural scenes that would normally inspire awe. And these participants reported a lower sense of self and a higher willingness to engage in pro-social behaviors compared to the people who were exposed to neutral scenes. Then there were participants who were viewing awe-inspiring art, and they showed increased openness to new experiences and greater cognitive flexibility compared to those who just looked at something neutral. And that cognitive flexibility is also related to one of the top 10 traits of highly resilient people. So can you believe it? Maybe you can. Maybe you're already an art lover and you know that it enriches your life. The other thing that they studied was they had participants who were exposed to acts of moral beauty, like people doing a good deed or being kind, and they reported higher levels of admiration and inspiration, and they were more likely to engage in pro-social behaviors like donating to charity. Have you ever wondered why there's awe or art associated with charity events? Now you know. So what we know from this work is that if we can seek out awe-inspiring experiences, incorporating art and culture, witnessing acts of kindness, creating awe rituals, and engaging in spiritual practices, we can actually harness the power of awe to enhance our personal growth, spirituality, and overall well-being. I incorporate awe and the appreciation of art and beauty into the attunement meditation and the cornerstone process. It's the fifth and final step of both of these. So I've found over the last 18 years of working with clients that it really does work. So now you know why. So I'm going to pop over to the chat and see if you have anything to add. Yes, Francesca. Francesca says yes to more art in our lives. I am so with you on that. Absolutely. More art in our world and in our lives. So stay tuned because I will also be sharing music that I've been creating that is really designed to help change your energy, your mood, to inspire, to soothe, to accompany you on your meditation journeys, your affirmation journeys. All right. So there's another aspect to rituals, and this is according to a study by Wendy Wood and Dennis Runger that was published in the Annual Review of Psychology. They found that rituals play a crucial role in forming and reinforcing new habits. Anyone out there working to reinforce new habits? Well, a ritual might make it easier for you. They found that the consistency and the emotional rewards that are offered by rituals make them really excellent tools for developing positive, lasting habits. So here are some actionable strategies based on their research. First off, define specific triggers that are going to prompt the ritual. Now, the trigger could be a time of day, like morning or evening, like I talked about with my morning ritual. Your trigger could be a specific location, like your meditation corner or an altar. The trigger could also be other routines. We often hear about this in habit forming, like couple a new habit to a routine that you already stick to, like brushing your teeth, for example. So you could also set up a dedicated space for your rituals, such as a small altar with meaningful objects, which can then serve as a visual reminder to just tune in, even if it's only for a moment, in that ritual. And that's again what we're doing with Soul Sense Alchemy, with creating treasure boxes where you can house your little talismans and meaningful objects. The next thing is to establish a routine by performing the ritual at the same time and place on a daily basis. And consistency really, really helps the behavior become automatic. So for example, if you start each day with a simple morning gratitude ritual, writing down 3 things you're thankful for, doing that at the same time each morning adds to that repetition and consistency. So we talked about coupling it to other things. If you leverage existing routines and integrate the rituals into those habits, it's easier to remember and easier to perform them. So you could also add something like mindful breathing for just a few minutes, or you could add intention setting immediately after your coffee or tea ritual. So just coupling just a couple of minutes, like it doesn't have to be a super long, elaborate ritual, and it can add up over time. They also emphasized minimizing friction and barriers. You've got to reduce the obstacles to engaging by preparing your ritual materials ahead of time. So if you prepare the items that you need, like candles, incense, your journal, the night before, or in my case, it's always by my bed, everything I need is right there. That way it's ready to go in the morning or at whatever time you're going to perform the ritual. Another key, positive reinforcement. Associate the ritual with positive feelings. You might even want to associate it with some sort of reward to reinforce the behavior. So when you really take a moment to enjoy that favorite piece of music or a song, or a few moments of silence and reflection, use that as a reward after completing the ritual. It's not like just finish it and get up and go. Like you can also seal it with a sense of positive reinforcement. Another element that they talk about is creating a supportive environment by designing your space to support your rituals and really minimize distractions. So if you have a dedicated, quiet, peaceful area for your ritual practice, that will help you. And the other thing is start small. Like we don't have to have an hour-long ritual just because you see your favorite yogi doing that. If you begin with something small and simple that's easy to perform, and then you can gradually build on them over time. So if you start with a 5-minute meditation, then maybe you gradually extend that over time as it becomes a regular part of your routine. That way you reduce some of the friction as well. If you think, oh my gosh, I don't have an hour, you might not do it, right? The other idea is to keep a journal so that you can reflect on your ritual practice and the impact that it's having. So if you note when you perform the ritual, how you felt before and after, and any insights that you gained. If you do that over time, you're likely to see from one month to the next that there's these cumulative benefits kicking in. Another aspect is involve friends and family or even online communities for encouragement and accountability. So you could start a virtual ritual circle where everyone gets to share their experiences and support each other. Thanks to one of the people in our alchemy apprenticeship, Leslie, she introduced me to a cacao supplier from Guatemala. And now that I'm in their email list, they have these regular community meetups where you can connect with other people over a cacao ceremony. And it's a really beautiful way to have that social support. Last thing I'll say before I jump over to the chat, plan for disruptions. If you're prepared for some potential disruption and have an alternative plan, that's going to help you maintain your ritual practice. So have a backup plan, like a shorter version of the ritual for days when your time is limited. For those that want to engage in some meditation, I have several on Insight Timer. And I've deliberately created some that are 11 minutes, 16 minutes. One is 28 minutes going through a ritual of connecting to your inner parts, like your inner child, your compassion figures. But then I also created short ones so that if you only have a few minutes, you can do them. So if you'll incorporate these strategies and establish and maintain these habits through the power of rituals, it'll make it so much more easy, and also it'll make it more rewarding for you to stick to your goals. How does that sound? Yeah? Oh, I love this. Yeah, John, we didn't talk about this when we met up. The Asatoma ritual captures awe. And I love this. Holy consciousness, lead me from an unreal to a whole reality, from repression to enlightenment, from a time-tethered consciousness to an eternal state of being. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that's a lovely way to capture awe. So anyone else want to chime in? What other rituals or what is this bringing to mind for you? Feel free to type into the chat. Now, there's another type of ritual that maybe you've already kind of heard of or you've seen it spreading throughout the media, and these are law of attraction rituals. Now, while the concept of the law of attraction itself isn't directly supported by scientific research, there are some related psychological principles like the expectancy bias, visualization, and optimism. All of those have actually been studied extensively. And these are principles that can explain why some law of attraction rituals might work. So you want to hear about some of these? Well, I did, because it helped me understand why some of the things I was doing was actually leading to manifestations. So the first is the expectancy bias and the confirmation bias. According to a review by Nickerson in 1998 in the Review of General Psychology, people tend to seek, interpret, and remember information that confirms their existing beliefs or expectations. So positive affirmations and intentions may actually lead people to interpret situations in ways that align with their expectations, which then influences their actions toward the desired outcomes. So I know a lot of people thought that law of attraction was, see it and feel it and dream it and believe it and it'll come, but there does need to be action. But this idea about this expectancy bias explains why people can then take action when something appears in their world that's aligned with the thing that they say they want to manifest. So there's another study by Pham and Taylor that found that visualizing the process of working toward a goal actually improved performance as well as motivation compared to merely visualizing the outcome. So a lot of us are told, visualize the outcome, but it's really important to visualize the process of working toward the goal, as well as what obstacles you might accomplish trying to reach the goal. And so instead of feeling frustrated or afraid, that might happen, no, you visualize what would happen if that scenario came or didn't come. And you create these if-then contingencies. If this happens, then I'll do this. And that mental imagery can really guide you towards the concrete actions and lead you to achieving your goals. There's another study, Carver and Shire. They discussed how optimism and positive expectations correlate with greater resilience, motivation, and well-being. So you can't dismiss everything about the law of attraction, because people with positive outlooks tend to have better physical and mental health, and they're more likely to persist in pursuing their goals. And In the top 10 traits of highly resilient people, persistence and optimism are 2 of the 10. So it's really helpful for you to have these positive expectations. And if you go back to the previous one and you visually imagine, even if something bad happened, what would you do? You can really double up on this effect. And then there's the classic study by Rosenthal and Jacobson. They demonstrated how teachers' expectations could influence a student's academic performance. It was known as the Pygmalion effect. Maybe you remember the play. And this phenomenon shows that how expectations impact behavior and outcomes, right? It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So these studies actually suggest that setting intentions and expecting positive results can create a mindset that leads to noticing more opportunities and then taking action. So rituals that involve visualization and affirmations can really reinforce the expectancy bias and help people align their actions with their intentions. So one of the things that we are doing now is we are inviting you to participate in laboratory experiments. Hear me out. I really believe that life is our laboratory. And when you want to make changes in your life or in your world, it can feel really, really daunting. But what if you could just take it on as an experiment? So I'd like to invite you to participate in a lab experiment to put the information about rituals to test in your own laboratory of life. Think of these experiments as really a series of challenges or quests where you get to test out different ideas, explore new concepts, and push your boundaries in a safe, supportive environment. And for me, this is part of the Soul Alchemy Lab. Just like the alchemists who used to experiment with various materials to discover their hidden potential, we are going to experiment with our thoughts, with our emotions and behaviors to uncover our own inner potential. So the reason we're doing these experiments is simple. It's all about growth. It's all about conscious evolution. All of us want to evolve, to consciously become better versions of ourselves, to leave the trauma and drama behind and move forward. So by engaging in these kind of experiments, we can challenge our comfort zones, we start to try new things, expand our horizons, and even break free from the limiting beliefs. These experiments can also encourage us to think outside the box, and that can lead to new insights, fresh perspectives, and even more creativity. And of course, I'm always harping on about it, but when we approach life as an experiment, we learn to embrace failure as a step toward success, and that will build our resilience all along the way. So I have 2 rituals for you. And maybe you can type into the chat, which one are you going to choose, number 1 or number 2? The first ritual is about transforming grief into gratitude. I invite you to develop a grief ritual for anyone who is dealing with loss of a loved one, loss of a job, loss of a state of life that you were in. You know, I work with a lot of people who are going through transition as they go through the dark night of the ego, whether that's because of burnout, a change in job, becoming an empty nester, entering into menopause or another life transition. What if you could actually develop a ritual that could help you process and release the sadness so that you could embrace what's new, what is newly emerging for you? So this could be for someone dealing with grief of a loss of a loved one. You could write letters. You could do a ritual around lighting candles and meditating. You could even focus on transforming that grief into forgiveness over time, maybe even into gratitude. If there's time, I'll even share a very elaborate soul-to-soul ritual that I work with my clients. So that is ritual number 1, transforming grief into gratitude. If that one resonates, you'll let us know. Number 2 is a law of attraction ritual. Why not go a little woo? Like, that's what these experiments are for. So what if you created a ritual that includes setting intentions, visualizing your goals, and using positive affirmations? You could practice this ritual every day and take notes about it and see, how does your mindset align with your actions and your intentions? So for this one, and I'll send this out in an email with the replay here if you want to get the ritual framework and the daily intention worksheet, I will also include how to do this law of attraction ritual. So in this ritual, we focus on setting clear intentions and then embodying the feelings of gratitude and joy as if we've already received our desire. So we send positive signals to the universe that start to attract abundance, opportunity, connection. So first things first, you set your intention. You begin by writing down whatever it is you desire very clearly. What do you want to attract? Be super specific and write it as if it's already happening in the present tense and with positive words like, I am so grateful that I have a fulfilling career that aligns with my purpose. So you say it in the present tense as if it's there, not I'm so lucky that I'm gonna find a job in the future. That's future tense. We want to keep it in the present. So you begin by, one, setting your intention. The second thing is to meditate on your desire. So you find a quiet place to meditate. You visualize your intentions. What would it look like? But then you take it to the next level and we sensualize what these intentions would look like, using all of your senses. So I learned this from Anna Weiss, who was the protege of Maxwell Cade, when I did my EEG neurofeedback training with Judith Pennington. To sensualize takes it beyond just visualization. Yes, you're going to picture your goal, but then you're going to imagine, how would it feel in your body when you have that goal? What would you feel around you? It could be the textures of what you're in. What does your environment look like? And really feeling the joy or the gratitude or the relief that you'll experience as that desire is manifested. So you do that sensualized meditation. The next thing is affirmations or even chants. So you create a short affirmation that aligns with the intention, and you could repeat it as a chant, allowing the rhythm and the energy to embed that positivity into your subconscious. Rhythm, you're going to start to understand, plays a great role here. And so when we're doing this, it's not about being passive. It's about actively shaping your mindset through that expectancy bias. By expecting positive outcomes, your brain starts to look for opportunities that align with your desires, and that encourages you to take action. The next thing is the gratitude practice. Write down 3 things that you're grateful for right now. And we want to express gratitude because it shifts your mindset to one of abundance. You're focusing on what you already have, what you're already savoring. And that allows you to receive even more positive experiences, or to notice the positive more, because you can't keep repeating the same 3 gratitude things every day. And then the fifth and final piece of this particular ritual is to use anchors. You can use an anchor like scent. If you have a particular perfume or essential oil, or you could use movement, but it's got to be an anchor that can really impact you. This will reinforce the ritual. So it could be dance, it could be a hand movement, it could be a mudra of some sort, and you let this anchor remind you of your intention throughout the day. So we do this a lot with performers, people that need to get up on stage, because it really, really helps. Because when you're at home practicing, you can already start to put these things into motion. Yeah? Does this resonate with anyone out there? So I'm going to check on the comments. Which ones have you chosen to do? I'm curious. So, hello, dear Kali. It's been a while. Kali says, I had a recent loss and I'm working on my grief. Gratitude is the next step. Thank you. Oh, Kali, sending you so much love. So much love. If you want some support in this, Kali, you know this. John David, you know this. In the Real Self-Love movement, we meet on the second Tuesday of the month, and we get together and we process emotion, connect to compassion and gratitude. So please do join us if you're able to. Would love to have you there, Kali. And Mia says, number 2, okay, so you're going to do the Law of Attraction ritual. Well, I invite you to visit wandrea.com so that you can get the ritual framework worksheet and the daily intention worksheet. And as I said, I will actually copy the Law of Attraction ritual and put it in there. So I would love to hear from anyone who has a question or anything else you want to contribute about this concept of tuning into rituals. And yeah, I would love to support you in this. And John David asks, how do you find Insight Timer? I am on Insight Timer. It's Insight Timer / Dr. Wandrea, I believe. I'm going to... I think that's it. Dr. Wandrea. So John says, tough choice. Can I do both? Will that interfere with the outcome results? Well, you know, a lot of people, they say, like, if you have a challenge like me, where you have multiple passions, multiple interests, and your energy gets scattered, most people will say, try to focus on one. If you have the discipline to do multiple, you know, do the grief ritual, because maybe you're going to do it once a week, that maybe you don't do that every day. For most people, they perform something like that, you know, once a week, once a month. If it's a recent loss, you might perform it on a daily basis. Like if you really wanted to honor the being that has passed on, having their picture, sitting down and reminiscing on the good, lighting a candle in their honor, or enjoying a piece of music or a food that they enjoyed. You know, you might do that on a daily basis while you're processing that grief. And then if there's something you're looking to attract into your life, the Law of Attraction ritual, I find you're going to need to do it over time. So repetition, as I talked about in this class, repetition is really the key with these rituals so that they get set into our subconscious. The one that really was powerful for me recently was doing the 369 journaling. So I'll describe it if you haven't already seen the video, and I'll bring you up to date if you've seen it, how I used it. So many of you know I am starting a new company with my husband. I'm also running training programs for doctors and therapists and coaches who are becoming psychedelic facilitators. And I'm sort of working on my next book. I have a lot going on, and I have a lot of creativity that bubbles up into my mind. And, you know, I know that I'm somewhere on the neurodivergent spectrum. I know that my brain has these tendencies where I can get hyper-focused. I can zone in and just get obsessed with a project. And then if it gets boring or difficult, sometimes I'll be like, okay, I need more dopamine. So I'll switch to another thing. Or life demands my focus in another area. And a few years ago, I really noticed that was bringing up regret. I don't like regret. There are a lot of things that people like avoid in life. The one thing that I avoid is regret, because it's like, I hate that feeling. It's like I can't go back and change the past, but then the feeling of, And so I learned a particular coaching paradigm, which we can get into another time, that was all about tuning into our values and what we desire and getting clear on what it would look like when you achieve that goal, laying out the steps so that you know, what do I need to do to achieve that goal, so that you plan for those pitfalls or those obstacles, as we've talked about today. And for me, the system that now works for me is called Diamond Life Design. I'll be sharing more about that because I have 2 partners in the UK with whom I'm working on bringing out Diamond Life Design 2.0. We launched it a couple of years ago, and it's coming back. And so for me, what I've done using Diamond Life Design and the 369 journaling method is this. I took out my new journal, and I wrote at the top the three major things that I wanted to accomplish this year. This is to answer your question, John, about, can I do multiples? So if you wanted to do multiple law of attraction type rituals, this one is just one that worked for me, and you can find the thing that works for you. So because I already have a morning practice of meditation, journaling, chanting, and prayer, I just added this on. The 369 method involves writing out the affirmation of what it will feel like, look like, see like, what it will be for you when you've accomplished that goal or received whatever it is you're looking to manifest. So you write it in present tense as if it's already there. And then you feel it, like you really got to tune in and to feel that gratitude or the relief or the joy, whatever the emotion is that you can really feel like it's real. And you write it 3 times. So you're feeling it as you write, I am so grateful that I have created this cornerstone process program with great results, right? That was one of mine as I was launching the cornerstone process for psychedelic prep and integration. So I was writing it 3 times a day. I was feeling it 3 times in the morning, 3 times at midday, and 3 times in the evening. But I told you I had other goals that I was trying to accomplish at the same time. And so I would write the next line, the other goal that I was looking to, that I am embodying. And I wrote it in the present tense. I am so grateful and excited that I have shot this beautiful documentary with beautiful footage and great results, and it's impacting lives. And I wrote that 3 times in the morning and the midday and the evening. Now I shall say, normally the 369 method is you write one of your goal affirmations 3 times in the morning, really feeling it, 6 times in the middle of the day, and 9 times at night. I started that in the beginning, but because I had 3 goals I was working on, it was too much. So I ended up doing 3 and 3 and 3. And it worked. I found that after a couple of weeks, it really felt so done. Before it was just sort of aspirational, like, oh, do you think I can get it done? It's a lot to do, but I kept writing it, I kept feeling it, I kept sinking into it, and it's done. Like, I've got things booked and lined up, and now I don't feel any of that, like, ooh, is it going to happen? I'm like, yeah, this is happening. And then other things are coming into my orbit that are reinforcing it. So that's really, really worked well for me. And the way I have done it, they say, if you can do that for 30 days, it's great because it'll really set it into your subconscious. And then if you have a different goal, like if you've achieved that goal and you're ready to move on to another, you can. What I did in my case is I just wrote them out by quarter. Like I have on the top of the page, like the big goals I want to achieve in 2024 to keep my ADD brain focused. Like every time I come up with a new idea, I'm like, no. We have a list of what we have to get done this year. You can add things to the wish list for later, but right now we're staying focused so that I don't have regret. And then I just broke it down by quarter. Like, what do I need to get done this quarter that's going to make sure that I get to that goal? And I wrote those affirmations. I felt it. I also recited them. Because I'm into music, I've been creating songs. This is adding the extra sensory aspect. Because I'm also stepping into a new archetype, a new expression in my life as the alchemist, I started thinking like, okay, how would the alchemist version of me think and feel? What are the affirmations that are tied to that? And this is something that we'll be doing in the cornerstone process for resilience and transformation. It's helping people step into that alter ego, that new archetype. So I started creating music with affirmations, so that as I'm listening to the music in the morning, as I'm getting ready, or as I'm walking the dog, or I'm making food, it's really impacted my psyche, such that now when I hear those songs, I embody that alter ego, that alchemist that I'm stepping into. So these are just some of the things that have worked for me. So how does this site? So yeah, Francesca, you will not see the worksheet on the site. You'll just see this. If you go to events, you'll see this. You'll see that picture for the rituals. And if you click on that, you'll see that you can sign up for reminders. I've also put it in the chat. But Francesca, I think you're on my email list. So I'll send it out again, or just send me an email if you can't find it. So when I send out the replay for this, I will send out the ritual framework, the daily intention worksheet, and I'll send you the law of attraction instructions. And let me know how this goes for you. I'm hoping that you learned something here, or you've reinforced something that you're already into. I think that these are powerful ways that we can consciously take action in our lives to evolve and move into the next best version of ourselves. I was talking to John about this earlier. No, I was talking to someone else earlier about my podcast. It's called Conscious Evolution. And what I find is so fascinating. When I started looking at a lot of the work of Barbara Marx Hubbard, who wrote a lot about conscious evolution, human beings are the one species that we know of that can consciously choose to evolve. Most species evolve as a reaction, as a response to the outer environment, the climate, the availability of food, the availability of spouses, procreation, all of that has impacted evolution. And now we're at a point where we can use our consciousness to choose how we will evolve. And that really inspires me, especially as someone who was impacted by so much trauma that I didn't have a conscious choice in my early life. Like as babies, we don't consciously choose. But now that we're at a pivot point in life on earth and in our adult way of thinking, now we can use our consciousness to direct our evolution. We can decide, who are we going to become? This was something that was so impressed upon me when I had an out-of-body near-death experience. That near-death experience rocked my world. It opened up my mind, my heart, my soul to understanding that when we come to this planet, we are actually little droplets of consciousness. And when that little droplet of consciousness or soul essence comes into this earthly avatar, it's up to us to determine who we will be. Not our parents, not the media, not society, and not even your religion. It's up to you to become the conscious chooser of who you will be. And that experience, that near-death experience in 2005, set me on a completely different trajectory to really learning who I really am. Who was I sent to this planet to be? Not who did I get molded and folded into being based on trauma, but who am I meant to be? And so we're on this path of conscious evolution, and we can actually do this together. We don't have to do it alone. So that's what I'm up to in the world. I am playing this game of life in this particular avatar. I call it the Bodhisattva game. That's what I signed up for. That's what I'm committed to. And so I'm sharing some of the things that are working for me and for my clients, and putting out content and products that can support you in taking a conscious role in how you will feel, how you will show up, how you will be in the world. So I hope that this has been helpful. I hope you enjoyed it or learned a little something new. I thank you so much for tuning in. I'll stick around for a second longer. If there are any questions, feel free to type in the chat, or you can always send me an email. So visit me at wondrea.com for a whole host of other freebies. You can get on the newsletter list over there. Join us at the Real Self-Love Movement. We meet on the second Tuesday of every month. It's totally free. It's a community call with people from all around the world. We meet on Zoom and we discuss a topic, some experiments. You get to give feedback on what's been working. And then I lead the attunement meditation. It's a 5-step mindfulness meditation technique that will help you tune into compassion, work with all of the various parts of you, release what needs to be released, embrace what needs to be embraced, and connect with a global community. So all of that is totally free. It is part of my service to this community, and I hope that you'll tune in and join us over there. All right, dear ones? So I wish you many, many blessings as you start to put these practices into your life. I'm super curious which of these experiments you'll engage in. And Mia asks, would microdosing help with ritual number 2? Well, ritual number 2 is all about the law of attraction and aligning mind, body, soul with, the world. Absolutely. If you're in a place where microdosing is legal and safe, microdosing could certainly be helpful. I've found that it's been really helpful in my personal journey as a way to enhance neuroplasticity and open up to creativity and intuition. So if that's something that's speaking to you, also check out my YouTube channel, and wondrea.com. You'll find that I've done a whole bunch about microdosing for those of you that are curious. All right, dear ones, it has been such a pleasure. Thank you for tuning in today. Thank you for sharing and showing up. And I'm so grateful for you as well, being in my universe, taking part in this game of life together. It's great to not be alone. So thank you, dear ones. Remember that you are a gift to the world. So share your presence with passion. Much love. Bye for now.